season is upon us. Not much time to look back on the past ones, but how excited are you to look ahead?
Very excited. We got Champions League coming up right around the corner, February 22nd against Santa Tecla. Big test for our group again. Very excited about the team we're bringing back. We got 10 of the 11 starters from the last MLS Cup and from part of the last 2 years of winning the title and going to the title game. And either 15, 16 guys, even from our top 18. So it's a really stable group. We got a lot of continuity from last year, and we think we're in a good position to start the season.
When you play in the title game 2 years in a row, does it seem like that off season is so much shorter each year?
Man, it is. There's not much time to do anything. It's been busy for us in the front office side. I can't imagine being a player, with those 2 long seasons back to back, and of course, you're not easing your way back in. You're going to play a Champions League game. So, but I think we're up for it. We got a lot of big game players, and we've played in a lot of big games in the last couple of years. That's a good thing.
The Waylon Francis acquisition was kind of quiet, but he's a player that is coming in to maybe fight for a starting position. Could you talk a little bit about Waylon and why you brought him?
Sure. Waylon is a guy that I've tracked since I was with Salt Lake, and is a guy that RSL played against in Champions League going back now 5-6 years. So it's like a lot of our players, we keep an eye on him, and he became available. We saw he wasn't playing as much for Greg in Columbus, and we knew the kid, so we sent Ravi on it, our data analyst, and plugged the numbers. And he's a guy whose profile really compares favorably. 2015 All-Star, has some of the attributes we look for in an attacking outside back and go both ways. And a guy in the prime of his career, 27 years old. So really kind of ticked all the boxes: character, age, experience, level of play. So we're excited about Waylon.
Garth, outside of Waylon, it was a fairly quiet 6 weeks of transactions. Why was there so few moves made this time versus other off seasons?
Sure. So, just to compare and contrast. So we win the title in 2016. We changed 13 players, including 5 starters, right? So, as I just said, we now go back to the final, second year in a row, and we only change 1 starter. And to be clear, to the Waylon Francis question, I think between Nuhu and Waylon, we feel very, very good about our left back position. If you look at Victor Rodriguez and Kelvin Leardom, 2 guys that came in the middle of the season for us last year, the historical trend for those types of players is that with a preseason with the whole group and now a better understanding of the league, both those guys should take a jump forward as well. So we feel really good about our team, if I'm honest. Nothing's promised, nothing's given. We got to go out and earn it. But, when you have, and again, if you look at our whole 18 and you say we could have 15 or 16 of these guys back from our 18 guys addressed in the final, okay, well then, certainly we want to continue to add players. We want to continue to get better. But, again, we feel pretty good about our group. And again, the state maybe states the obvious, but we weren't happy with how we played in the final. That outcome was not a good one. We did not perform well. We are not sitting here and saying losing in the final in that manner is acceptable. But what we are saying is we're not willing to throw the baby out with the bathwater and build from scratch because we lost 1 game on the road either. So, again, we look at our body of works from June on, from my perspective, when we got the right back position settled down with Leardom, and then later added Victor. I think we only lost 1 game in the regular season, or 2 games, with the finalists, and we lost at RSL too. So we lost 2 games in the last 6 months of the season before the final. Again, that's an indication, I think, that our group was pretty solid. And again, it's not that we got hot. It's that we were consistently good over a long period of time. And again, as we're now entering year 3 of integrating our academy in S2, we believe there's some young players in the pipeline that are going to come up and help us with our depth as well.
So what do you attribute that loss in the final to? Was it a bad afternoon? Was it a personnel gap with Toronto? What do you attribute it to?
You know what? On some level, we didn't show up. That wasn't the Sounders team that we'd all seen and been accustomed to. And, I think that the causes for that are probably complex and myriad, and honestly, maybe not worth rehashing 2 months later. I think the takeaway from it is when you play on the biggest stage on the road against a team that's been waiting 11 months to kick your teeth in, you better be ready. And, on the day we couldn't hold the ball. We couldn't do some basic things that we'd been doing for the previous 6 months. And so we have to improve upon that, and there's lots of things we can do to get better. But again, this question's come up through Jeff, and do you want to play Toronto in the Champions League? I don't care. I want to win Champions League. It doesn't matter if it goes through Toronto or not. It's not personal. It's not personal, that game. We just got to play like we're capable of playing, and I believe we're talented enough to be successful.
How would you gauge your interest, though, in trying to add impact players before the start of the season?
I think that we are going to have a good start to our season. And again, I know there's been a narrative that we've had, that we started slow last year. But again, I think there are very concrete reasons for that. When you change 13 players, it takes a while to integrate those guys. When you're experimenting with starters, and some of them work and some it doesn't, you have to make mid-season adjustments. I think that's different. I don't think any of those things are true right now. I think we can field the team that we fielded, substitute Nuhu for Joven, and away we go. And honestly, I think we're going to beat most MLS teams, or at least be competitive with them with that team. So now when we add players, do we want to get better? Of course. Do we want to add impact players? Absolutely. But we should do that judiciously and in the manner where we get the best player for the best value, which you guys have heard me say for 3 years. We should not come in and react and say, oh, well, we started slow last year, so therefore we have to panic and go out and sign people. Like, we're going to sign the best players we can. We're going to sign them when they become available.
Brad Evans and Lamar Nagel have been spotted near the facilities. Have you talked to them at all?
Yeah, I talked to both of them. Again, both longtime Sounders, they're free agents, and free agents are exactly that. It's up to them. The union fought for a long time, going back to when I played, for that right to be free agents, and those guys are that, and they're going to exercise their rights. And, if they tell us they want to come back and play for the Sounders again, we're open to those conversations.
Speculations have been reported about Roman Torres signing an extension with the team. Can you talk about that at this moment?
Roman's under contract to the team, so whatever happens in the future happens. But certainly Roman's been a big part of our team for the last couple of years, big part of our stretch run. I think Roman finally getting healthy around July and returning to form, I think, was a big deal in terms of our getting back to the championship game. And I think he's a big part of us off the field as well from a leadership perspective. So he's a guy we highly value, and certainly we hope to be in Seattle for a long time.